witnessed something extraordinary on Capitol Hill. Special Counsel Jack Smith, the prosecutor who dared to hold power accountable, sat before Congress to address the American people directly. Across from him, Congressman Steve Cohen, a Tennessee Democrat who has long championed the rule of law and democratic institutions. What unfolded was not just testimony, it was a reminder. A reminder that in America, no one, not even a former president, should be above the law. Stay with us as we break down this historic hearing and what it means for justice in America.
The gentleman from Tennessee is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Smith, it's great that you've been allowed to come here and testify to the American public. Is there anything you'd like briefly to discuss that Mr. Gill brought up on the reasons why you needed those phone records and the limitations that you thought might have been on you and the prosecution because of to risk the investigation?
Sure, and I would begin by pointing out that the email that was referenced wasn't a justification from my office. It was an email from the Public Integrity Section to my office approving the subpoenas. The subpoenas that we secured with non-disclosure orders from a judge because I had grave concerns about obstruction of justice in this investigation, specifically with regards to Donald Trump. Not only did we have the obstruction of justice that we were investigating in the classified documents case, but I was aware during the course of our investigation of targeting of witnesses during the course of the conspiracy itself. There were election workers who had their lives turned upside down and received vile death threats because they were targeted by Donald Trump and his co-conspirators. I had a duty to protect witnesses in this investigation. That risk, that threat to witnesses was only confirmed when we went forward in this case and Donald Trump suggested that one witness should be put to death and then also issued a statement to the effect of, if you come after me, I'm coming after you. In my mind, I can't think of a more direct threat to witnesses and individuals involved in that proceeding. Given that sort of threats, it was, in my view, completely appropriate to protect the integrity of the investigation, to protect against destruction of evidence, and to protect the witnesses in our case.
And just to make clear, you did not see any of the discussion. There was not any, it was just the content that they made a call to the president and vice versa, but nothing about any content whatsoever. That's
correct. A toll record subpoena gives you who a call is from, who it is to, and the length of that call. It does not tell you the content of what people are speaking about.
You felt that you had a case that was one that you would win beyond a reasonable doubt, no moral certainty. Is there anything in your facts that you had that you would have used at trial that you believe has not been presented to the public in the past or have been misrepresented to the public?
Is there anything?
Essential facts that you had that you felt would have resulted in a conviction of the president on the charges that he was indicted upon?
I think my report, the report of our case, the final report, summarizes the evidence, I think, in a way that is gives a fair reading of the strength of the case.
And you have no question but have been successful before jury?
My review of the case, I came to the conclusion we had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. We were ready, willing, and able to go to trial in the case. Of course, as I said in my opening statement, prosecutors can't control outcomes, but I felt confident in pursuing the case to trial.
Did Merrick Garland ever pressure you to bring an indictment or to do anything in your investigation?
No.
Did anybody else in the administration, President Biden, Vice President Harris, et cetera?
I was given the independence to conduct my investigation, and I came to the decision to bring charges in this case without undue influence from anybody in the department.
And you dropped the case. Why did you drop the case?
The cases against Donald Trump were dismissed pursuant to department policy.
Department policy, the Office of Legal Counsel said if somebody's president, you can't bring a charge against them or they can't be held liable. Is that correct?
That's correct. There had not been a case of this nature ever where someone was elected president with charges pending, and so that was slightly different. So we consulted with with the Office of Legal Counsel, and they determined pursuant to policy that the cases needed to be dismissed.
And you weren't pleased with that, but you had to follow the law, and that's what you did.
We followed policy throughout my investigation. My job was not to set policy, my job was to follow it, and that's what we did.
I want to thank you for your service. I think you're a great American, and you came out of this as being somebody who people can respect and look up to in a fashion that we should be instilling people's desire to go into justice, to go into law, and to go into government. And you're an example of the type of person they should follow. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back.
Special Counsel Jack Smith, a career prosecutor with decades of experience fighting corruption from The Hague to Washington, sat in that chamber and laid bare the facts. Facts that many in this country have tried to bury, dismiss, or distort. He told us, under oath and without hesitation, that he had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That his team was ready, willing, and able to bring this case to trial. That the evidence was there, the witnesses were there, the law was there. The case was dismissed not because of innocence, not because of insufficient evidence, not because a jury weighed the facts and found reasonable doubt. No. It was dismissed because of a policy. A Department of Justice policy that says a sitting president cannot be prosecuted. A policy, I should remind you, that is not enshrined in the Constitution. It is not a law passed by Congress. It is an internal memorandum, an opinion that has now, twice in modern American history, shielded a president from the consequences of his actions. And when Smith moved forward with his investigation, what happened? Trump publicly suggested that a witness should be put to death. He issued what can only be described as a mob-style warning. If you come after me, I'm coming after you. In any other context, in any other case involving any other defendant, that would be called witness intimidation. It would be called obstruction. It would be prosecuted. But this is not any other defendant. This is a man who, by the sheer act of winning an election, has placed himself beyond the reach of the law, at least for now. Congressman Steve Cohen, a Democrat from Tennessee and a longtime member of the Judiciary Committee, asked the questions that needed to be asked. Did Merrick Garland pressure you? No. Did President Biden? No. Did Vice President Harris? No. Smith was unequivocal. He was given independence, and he exercised it with integrity. This matters. Because for years, we have heard the drumbeat of weaponization, the claim that the Justice Department has been turned into a political tool against Donald Trump. Today, under oath, the man who led that investigation told us the opposite. There was no political interference. There was no pressure. There was only the evidence and the law. And when Cohen thanked Smith for his service, when he called him a great American and an example for those who aspire to careers in justice and public service, it was not partisan flattery. It was recognition. Recognition of a man who, in the face of unprecedented political pressure, personal attacks, and even threats to his safety, did what prosecutors are supposed to do: follow the facts wherever they lead. It leaves us with a sobering truth. In America, we have long told ourselves that no one is above the law. We teach it to our children. We inscribe it on our courthouses. We hold it up as the defining principle of our republic. But today, that principle is being tested perhaps more than at any point since Watergate. We have a former president who was indicted on serious federal charges, who had the evidence stacked against him, who threatened witnesses in plain sight, and who will never face a jury, not because he was exonerated, but because he won an election. Jack Smith did his job. He followed the facts. He built his case. He was ready to let 12 American citizens decide. He never got that chance. And that, perhaps more than anything said in that hearing room today, is the story, not of a prosecutor who failed, but of a system that, at its most critical moment, chose policy over principle. For now, the case is closed. But the questions it raised about power, about immunity, about the soul of American democracy, those questions remain wide open.